The diagnosis came the day I was diagnosed with a rare condition that would slowly erase my memories. My husband started documenting everything about our life together. So you'll never forget us, he said, filming our morning coffee ritual. 6 months later, I found his secret online account where he'd been sharing these intimate videos with thousands of followers. Watch as my wife slowly loses herself. The caption read Day 163 of the Mamere Project. I hadn't forgotten a thing. My diagnosis had been a mistake. But after discovering what kind of man I'd married, I decided to play along with his game, forgetting more each day while secretly planning my escape. He never suspected a thing until the morning he woke up to find all evidence of me gone from our home, except for one final video I'd recorded just for him. It started with a headache that wouldn't go away after 3 weeks of pain, dizziness, and occasional disorientation. Dr. Reynolds ordered a battery of tests. Mrs. Ellis, please sit down, he said when I returned for the results. His expression grave. I am afraid it's not good news. My husband Alex gripped my hand so tightly I could feel my wedding ring cutting into my skin. You have a condition called Larson-Miller-Patent. It's extremely rare, affecting the hippocampus parent, the part of your brain responsible for forming and storing memories. The doctor explained that my memories would gradually fade paired to recent ones first, then progressively older ones. I would lose skills, forget faces, eventually becoming a stranger to myself. How long, Alex asked, his voice breaking. The progression varies, Dr. Reynolds replied. Some patients maintain functional memory for years, others decline rapidly within months. I sat in stunned silence, unable to process that my mind part, the thing that made me part, would betray me so completely. Alex threw himself into research that very night, hunched over his laptop until dawn. By morning, he'd developed a plan. We're going to document everything, he said, eyes red-rimmed but energized. Every memory, every moment, every detail of our life together. So even when your mind can't hold on to them anymore, we'll have them preserved. He purchased an expensive camera, set up lighting in our apartment, created a schedule for interviews and reenactments of important memories. His devotion touched me deeply. This was the man I'd fallen in love with, paired, determined, passionate, refusing to surrender to circumstances. The filming began immediately. Morning coffees, walks in the park, me cooking dinner, paired in ordinary moments made precious by their impending loss. Alex interviewed my friends about our shared experiences, filmed family members telling stories about me, and meticulously labeled and dated everything. This will help you remember who you are, he promised for a while. It was almost beautiful, pairing this archive of love being built around me. But as weeks passed, I noticed changes in Alex. He became obsessed with getting the perfect shot, often making me repeat actions or statements until they matched some vision in his head. No, not like that, he'd say, frustration edging his voice. Do it the way you always do. The irony wasn't lost on me. Party was trying to preserve an authenticity by manufacturing it. 3 months after my diagnosis, the headaches mysteriously subsided. My mind felt clearer than it had in months. But when I mentioned this improvement to Alex, he seemed almost disappointed. The doctor said there would be good days and bad days, he cautioned. Don't get your hopes up. This is just temporary. I scheduled a follow-up appointment anyway, but Alex insisted on coming with me. During the examination, he answered questions before I could, describing symptoms I hadn't experienced. She forgot our anniversary last week, he told Dr. Reynolds earnestly, and she keeps misplacing her keys. Her phone purred. She called me by her brother's name yesterday. I stared at him bewildered. None of that had happened. Dr. Reynolds nodded sympathetically. These fluctuations are typical of the condition. The important thing is to cherish the good days when they come. On the drive home, I confronted Alex. Why did you say those things? I haven't been forgetting anything. He reached over to squeeze my hand, his expression gentle but patronizing. Honey, that's the nature of memory loss. You don't remember forgetting. It's okay. I'm here to help you through this. His certainty made me doubt myself. Maybe he was right, purred. Maybe I was forgetting the evidence of my forgetting. The thought terrified me, and I clung to him more tightly, grateful for his meticulous documentation of our life. The filming intensified. Alex reduced his work hours at the architectural firm to spend more time on what he now called the Mamere Project. He created elaborate scenes from our past, purred our first date, our wedding day, our honeymoon turn, having me act them out while he directed and filmed. It's not just about recording memories, he explained. It's about helping your brain reinforce the neural pathways. The more we reenact these moments, the longer you might hold on to them. I wanted to believe him, needed to believe him. Then came the day I discovered the truth. I was using Alex's laptop to order groceries when a notification popped up. New comment on your Mamere Project video. Curious, I clicked it, thinking it might be from a family member Alex had shared our videos with. Instead, it led me to a YouTube account I'd never seen before, Peartion, the Memory Project Pert, with over 300,000 subscribers. The most recent video showed me in our kitchen, struggling to follow a recipe for lasagna paired, a dish I'd made hundreds of times. In the video, I appeared confused, frustrated, on the verge of tears. I had no recollection of this happening. The caption read, Day 163. My wife can no longer cook her signature dish. The decline is accelerating, hands shaking. I scrolled through the channel. There were hundreds of videos, each documenting some aspect of my alleged decline. Me calling our cat by the wrong name, me getting lost in a mall we'd visited weekly for years, me crying because I couldn't remember my mother's birthday. None of these things had happened to Hert, or if they had not in the way Alex portrayed them. The comments were a mix of sympathy, voyeuristic fascination, and advice. This is so heartbreaking to watch. Stay strong, Alex. Have you tried coconut oil? My aunt swears it helped slow her decline. Can we get more videos of when she gets angry? Those are the most intense. I felt physically ill. The man I trusted most in the world was not only lying about my condition but exploiting it for, what? Sympathy money? With trembling fingers, I checked the account settings. The channel was monetized, earning an estimated $8,000, $12,000 monthly from ad revenue and support donations from viewers invested in our story. Our joint bank account had seen substantial deposits over the past months, which Alex had explained as bonuses from work he was supposedly cutting back on to care for me. Next, I found a folder labeled raw footage containing unedited videos. I clicked on one corresponding to a published video where I supposedly couldn't remember how to tie my shoes. The raw footage showed something entirely different. I was simply tying my shoe normally when Alex said, "Cut, that's not right. You need to look more confused." When I protested, he reminded me how important the project was for my future self, how these videos would help me remember who I was. Just trust me, his voice said from behind the camera. You want to do this right. I watched video after video, seeing how he'd misleading directions and edited content to create a narrative of decline that didn't exist. In some videos, I appeared genuinely confused, partner, but only because Alex had deliberately sabotaged me, moving items I just placed somewhere, giving me incorrect information, then filming my natural disorientation as evidence of my condition. My entire diagnosis came into question. Why had Dr. Reynolds Reynolds been so certain? Had Alex somehow influenced the test results? I needed answers, but I also needed a plan. Alex had created an elaborate fiction about my memory loss, one that thousands of people now believed. If I confronted him directly, what would stop him from convincing everyone Terricher, including medical professionals, Perita, that my denial was just another symptom? So I decided to play his game Perita, but better. The next morning, I stood in the kitchen staring at the coffee maker with a carefully crafted look of confusion. Everything okay? Alex asked, already reaching for the camera he kept charged and ready on the counter. I can't remember how to use this, I whispered, injecting fear into my voice. His eyes lit up with something that should have been concern, but looked disturbingly like excitement. It's okay, honey, I'll show you. As he demonstrated the coffee maker's simple mechanics, I noticed how he positioned himself for the best camera angle, how he slowed his instructions to emphasize my supposed helplessness. Thank you, I said, adding a slight quiver to my lip. I am scared, Alex. It's happening faster now, isn't it? He pulled me into an embrace, camera still recording over my shoulder. I'm right here, he soothed. I'll always be here to take care of you that night. I watched him upload the coffee maker video, typing a caption that described my accelerated decline and how challenging it was becoming to maintain our daily routine. While he slept, I created a new email account and reached out to Dr. Melissa Chen, a neurologist at a different hospital. I explained my situation concisely, emphasizing my fear that my husband had somehow influenced my initial diagnosis. I requested an appointment without my husband's knowledge. Dr. Chen agreed to see me, and I made plans to visit her under the pretense of having lunch with a friend. For the next 2 weeks, I played the role of a woman losing herself. I forgot simple tasks, misplaced important items, and called Alex by the wrong name occasionally. Each incident was met with the same disturbing mixture of concern and eagerness as he reached for his camera. The worse my condition appeared, the more animated he became. He was gaining followers rapidly, with several videos going viral. Our house began filling with packages penned her gifts from viewers who felt invested in our story, all the while I was planning my escape. Dr. Chen performed a comprehensive evaluation, reviewing my previous medical records and ordering new tests. Mrs. Ellis, I see no evidence of Larsen-Miller-Koppen, she said when the results came in. In fact, I am not convinced this condition exists at all. Cheered, at least not as described in your medical records. She showed me medical journals, databases, specialist consults. Nothing matched the specific syndrome I'd supposedly been diagnosed with. Your initial scans showed some inflammation that could have caused your headaches and disorientation, she explained. But your current scans are clear. Here is no physical reason for you to be experiencing memory loss, so I'm not going to forget everything, I asked, tears of relief forming based on these results. No, but I am concerned about what you've told me regarding your husband's behavior. This appears to be a case of medical abuse, possibly Munchausen by proxy. He's fabricating or inducing illness in you for some form of secondary gain. She helped me document everything, connecting me with both legal resources and a trauma counselor specializing in psychological abuse. You need to be careful, she warned, confronting him directly could be dangerous. These situations often escalate when the abuser feels exposed or loses control. I knew she was right. The man I'd married, Perita, or thought I'd married Perita, no longer existed in my mind. In his place was a stranger who had been gaslighting me for months, manipulating me into believing I was losing myself so he could play the devoted husband for an audience of thousands. Over the next month, I meticulously prepared for my departure. I gathered important documents, secured a new place to live under a different name, and carefully moved small, unnoticeable amounts of money from our joint account into one he couldn't access. I forgot more and more each day, giving Alex increasingly dramatic content for his channel. The more I deteriorated on camera, the less he monitored my actual activities. Why would he need to watch a woman who could barely remember to brush her teeth? The final phase of my plan came together when Alex announced he needed to attend an architectural conference overnight. His first time leaving me alone since my diagnosis. I've set up cameras throughout the house, he said, showing me the elaborate surveillance system he'd installed. I'll be monitoring you remotely. If anything happens, I can have someone here in minutes. I nodded meekly, playing the role of the dependent, declining wife to perfection. As soon as his car left the driveway, I went to work. First, I looped the camera feeds, using a technique I'd learned from a security expert I'd consulted. Then I systematically removed every trace of myself from our home. I packed clothes, personal documents, and irreplaceable mementos, but left behind anything Alex had given me. I deleted my presence from our shared computer, removing photos, emails, and documents. I left only what a stranger would leave: Perita furniture, appliances, impersonal items in the bedroom. When everything else was ready, I sat before it and began to speak. Hello, Alex. By the time you watch this, I'll be gone. Not just from this house, but from your life entirely. You won't find me, so please don't try. I held up a folder containing copies of my recent medical tests, Dr. Chen's assessment, and documentation of his YouTube channel. I know what you've been doing. I know I was never losing my memory. I know about the followers, the money, all of it. I've provided copies of this evidence to my attorney, who will release it publicly if you attempt to contact me or create any more content about me. I allowed myself a small smile before continuing. You wanted to document a woman forgetting everything about her life, so here I am forgetting you, punctuals and permanently. This is the last memory I'll give you, paired to the knowledge that I remember everything you did, and I am choosing to leave it all behind. I signed with my new name, Parent, and ended the recording. By dawn, I was hundreds of miles away, beginning a life that contained no trace of Alex Ellis or the woman he had tried to convince me I was becoming 3 days later. My attorney confirmed he'd returned to find the house empty except for my video. He'd been alternating between rage and panic ever since. His YouTube channel went dark for a week, then returned with a tearful update. My wife's condition has progressed to the point where she needed to be moved to a specialized care facility. Out of respect for her dignity, I won't be sharing further updates. His followers flooded the comments with sympathy and support, never suspecting the truth. Sometimes I wonder if he actually believes his own fiction now, part that I am in some facility gradually fading away while he nobly respects my privacy. Perhaps that's easier for him than admitting the truth, that I remembered everything, especially the moment I realized who he really was. I still experience headaches occasionally. My doctor says they're likely stress-related, a physical manifestation of the trauma I endured, but each time one hits, I feel a momentary fear. Perty, what if I was wrong? What if Alex was right, and I am slowly losing myself? Then I remember the evidence, the medical facts, the careful documentation of his deception. In those moments, I remind myself that remembering the truth, Parent, however painful, Parent, is the greatest power I possess, and unlike the woman Alex tried to make me become, I will never forget that.